Welcome everyone back to another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle video. My name is D-Free. Here today we will be taking a look at some of the most recent units that have come into the game, provide evidence that excuse me, about where the game is moving into the next year. Hope you guys enjoy. Hit that subscribe if you're new for more content. And that being said, let's go ahead and talk about it. So obviously, most recently, the best unit that we got most recently is the Time Travelers category leader, Trunks. That is interesting, though, because he is one of just a few summonable LRs that have a category leader skill. And in fact, that's even more interesting when you realize that category literally just came out on the Japanese version of the game, led by the Int Goku Black. So we have a situation where they're back to doing the thing that they did for a long time. Actually, a large chunk of this year, they went ahead and dropped LRs that fit thematically into specific categories. For example, we have Goku Black as a leader. Well, that was a Trunks arc, so of course the LR would be a Trunks and Mai, not just a regular Trunks, whatever the case is. Now, it could have been other units like a Merge Zamasu, but again, they're continuing that trend. Last time, I believe it was the Android category, and the LR was a Cell, so stuff like that. So that's just kind of what I wanted to preface this off with. So we're seeing that, but also, again, one of a few only summonable LRs that have access to a category leader skill. Correct me if I'm mistaken, I think the only other ones are the physical and Int Goku and Vegeta duo cards. Other than that, here we go. So on top of that, though, he's continuing the same exact trend that LRs had prior to him in this year, which was pretty much offering 4 key and 100% to their primary typing. So Super STR, 4 key and 100% to all stats. But unlike him, typically, and we're going to come back there, unlike him, typically the LRs prior to him that were summonable from the banners, non-Dokkan Festival exclusive, all the different, qualifiers, did this, where they had the 4 key, just like him, at 100%, but they offered as a secondary leader skill, the sub-leader, 2 key and 70% to the opposite typing of the same color. So there we go. So Super Physical with Cell, as far as he's concerned, gets 2 key, 70%. So if Trunks was following the same trend, by the way, he would offer 2 key, 70% to Extreme STR units, but again, he does not follow that trend. Now, when we take a look at his passive, this is one of the first instances that we see where there's multiple categories mentioned, where, the first part's concerned, that's not really a new thing. We've seen other units that say, oh, based on the number of allies you have on your team from this category, you get a specific boost, whether it's crit chance boost, defense boost, dodge chance boost, whatever the case is. So he's doing that. It's not new, it's not specific. But that being said, he got 70% at the start of the turn, plus an additional 10%, up to 70% to attack and defense per Time Travelers category ally on the team. But again, we're seeing this thing where now, and this is going to be obviously more common, where they have situational buffs that trigger based on opposition. So he gets 6 key and a high chance to dodge enemies' attacks, including their super attacks when he's facing a Future Saga category enemy. So when we take a look at the Future Saga, that means he could be up against this event. He could be up against, well, I guess it's not really possible, but he could be up against this guy's boss event. Whatever the case is, he could be up against the Rosés, the Goku Blacks, the Zamasu events. He could be up against the Vegito events. He can be up against a number of events and be able to trigger that secondary part of his passive, or he can be fighting in something like Battlefield, where sometimes you fight some of those bosses. I think the last, round 3 pretty much is always active. And then, in the future, when we get access to a Future Saga category Dokkan boss rush, not boss rush, excuse me, Super Battle Road, he's obviously going to, always have that. So this is something that we're seeing a little bit more when they're faced with specific opposition. Units are able to get a specific boost. And he is not the only unit that came out in this update like that. For example, we do have the Vegeta. I believe the Goku is the same thing, but I'm not really going to pull him up because it's not relevant, because Vegeta explains it. He is the new Movie Heroes category leader, but he gets an additional 3 key and 40% to attack when facing a movie boss's category enemy. So anywhere you would face a movie boss's enemy, he is able to get additional boosts, just making him better, of course. Now, when we kind of talk about the whole dual category thing, I want to actually, before we proceed, preface this whole video by saying I do believe that Gogeta and Broly, whenever they come out, I believe they're supposed to come out in part 2 of the celebration, whenever they come out, they will be dual category leaders. That's 100% what I believe. So there's that. Take it or leave it. I do think that probably it's going to be Movie Heroes and Fusion as the Gogeta leader skills, whatever the case is. A main leader and then a weaker sub-leader. Or he can be like Trunks and offer, the key and stuff like that to the secondary typing and then a category, which actually isn't a new theme, by the way. If we take a look back over to the Legendary Power, we take a look at this unit here. They're doing the same thing. 3 key and then right here. So, oh yeah, this is another one that's a category summonable leader. Forgive me. Anyways, so there's that. But I will say Trunks is a little bit different because he's offering a more relative boost here. 4 key and 100% is pretty dope. And then 4 here. But again, the reduced stats. So take it or leave it. Choose what you want. Anyways, so Gogeta is going to be either like this or double category. That's what I'm going to say. So here we have a look at Frieza. Now, Frieza is one of the main indicators of where the game is heading. Because when you take a look at him at a first glance, maybe you don't even realize it, right? Enhanced Transformation category gets 1 key and 30%. He does supreme damage and raises allies attack, extreme class allies attack by 20% for 1 turn. Also, he takes reduced damage up to 45% with each attack received. And the secondary part of his passive, movie boss category allies get 1 key and 20% to attack and defense. So when you take a look at his categories, there's no movie bosses there. So here's the deal. He could realistically awaken at some point and pick up movie bosses. Obviously, this is the Frieza from the movie. Obviously, Frieza per normal is an antagonist, stuff like that. So he could awaken and get that. But here's the deal. He will always want to be on a movie boss's team because that's a very huge part of his passive. When he awakens, it's probably going to jump to being 2 key, 25%, and that's a very respectable support unit, especially among free-to-play options, especially because he takes reduced damage, and he also has a, the super attack mechanic. He's good. He's good. So why would they give him Enhanced Transformation as a leader skill, but then turn around and make him need to be on a movie boss category team to even do his secondary part of his passive? He's so weird that his passive support doesn't even support himself. So there's that. So I can only surmise that Frieza is, again, the main indicator that we will be getting either him to transform and pick up that category. I'm not going to disqualify that because it's 100% possible. But even then, I don't know why he would have this leader skill, but I mean, it is what it is. The leader skill and passive skill combination, though, is really weird. This is the first time we've seen something like this where they are literally not even related. But I'm going to say that I do think that, again, this is an indicator for the game moving into that type of meta moving forward, where you have leaders, not even just summonable LRs or Dokkan Festival leaders, but just leaders in general that offer 2 different categories boosts, and I think that's where it's going. So another indicator for that, though, was the most recent update to JP. So this update allows you to select up to, I don't know, I think you can select all of them. I selected up to like 12, and it didn't stop me. I could have kept going, but you were able to select numerous categories all at once to view the units, to either train them, do your teams, whatever the case is. You can view more than one now. And I don't, there's not a whole lot of reason as to why this would be a thing, other than just trying to see what options you have whenever you're digging into maybe trying to build a team that focuses around 2 leader skills like this one, where you need maybe a super tech type, and you look at specific categories that are not relative to the main category leader skill, or if you're doing something like this. So when we take a look at the Future Saga category, and I'm going to preface this next part of the video by saying that there are a number of categories that this exact thing applies to. And this is kind of where the units are, where the categories are, and the fact that so many units have so many categories that they bleed into a bunch of different categories. And you can kind of just form the same teams in like all of the categories, or a lot of them. So when we take a look here at the Future Saga category, well, one thing you notice is that, well, this is characters that participated in the Future Saga. So whether that's the Future Trunks Saga or Trunks coming back in time, Goku Black, whatever the case is, you're going to see that here. Now, we don't have any cells here, I don't believe, but pretty much just, Trunks and the Future Saga for Trunks, pretty much. That's pretty much it. So, and of course, there's Future Gohans, and then, of course, the 17 and 18 for the future, stuff of that nature. So when we take a look at Time Travelers, though, now, this is almost the same category. It has enough relevant units that are of the same exact category, though. It's not the exact same because we have units like Bojack, things like that. But it is pretty much the same category. I mean, there's a lot of bleed over. These categories, if I had to, like, go on a, and look at the actual percentage of units that are relevant that bleed between the 2 categories, I'd say probably about 80%. Maybe even 85. There's a lot of really good units that are just on both categories. Even all the LRs, like that's the exact same thing. So literally, 5 LRs there, 1, 2, 3. There's more, but it's pretty much the same thing. So it's pretty much just an enhanced version of this category. And again, there are other categories that do that are very, very similar to previous categories. But we can also take a look at a unit like this guy who has access to these categories. And we have Potara, we have ROG, and we have Time Travelers. These teams realistically can run the exact same teams. Right? They can run literally the exact same unit for unit teams, right? So there's that. And I do think that since that's a case, that's part of the reason why this whole thing is good. But other than that, there are going to be units like when we were looking at just now with Future Saga, and then of course the Time Travelers category that aren't the same, like a Bojack, for example. So when we get access to a secondary leader, then you can look at both and dig out both and then use them all on the same team. So there's that. And I do think that that, again, is where this game is going to head into in 2019. But that's pretty much it. I don't think I'm going to go back and pull up the Goku. I said I wasn't going to, but I want to pull him up really quick because I don't think that he is an indicator of this. He doesn't do anything other than the Vegeta. Yeah, they're the same unit pretty much. They're a little bit different, but they're pretty much the same. So anyways, that's it. Oh yeah, last thing, I want to pull up the Broly. We'll pull up Broly, the new Broly. So int types, Broly. There you go. Any different for you? Nope, no different. Okay, cool. So he's a Movie Bosses category leader, and I'm going to assume that the new Broly is going to be a Movie Bosses category leader as well too. Probably offering 170, stuff like that. So that's it. Anyways, thank you all for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Let me know what you think about what we talked about in this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you get us up to 1K likes, 1,000 likes on this video, and to show your support. Anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. I'll catch all of you in the next one.